Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit was a well-known Canadian professional wrestler who worked from the 80s to the mid-2000s. On June 22, 2007, he murdered his wife Nancy by strangulation, and he also strangled their 7-year-old son to death at their home in Georgia. 2 days later, he hanged himself. According to reports, Benoit may have had severe undiagnosed mental issues due to years of untreated concussions. Earl Hay. Earl Hay was an up-and-coming rapper, and his wife Stephanie Mosley was a dancer who had appeared on VH1 reality show Hit the Floor. In 2014, police found the pair dead when they were called to their apartment in Fairfax, California, after gunshots were heard. And it was later ruled that Hayes shot Mosley and then killed himself. Apparently, the couple had been arguing about an affair Mosley was allegedly having with a singer. Robert Blake. Robert Blake, who began his acting career as a little rascal, went on to have a very successful career in the acting industry. In 2001, he was tried and acquitted for the murder of his second wife, Bonnie Lee Bakley. According to reports, Bakley was shot to death while sitting in a car waiting for Blake. Later in November 2005, he was found liable for the wrongful death of Bonnie Lee Bakley and was required by the courts to pay $30 million to Bakley's children. Michael Jace. Michael is an American actor who is well known for his work on the Fox drama The Shield. Jace killed his wife, April Jace, on May 29, 2014, in the couple's Los Angeles home. He shot her while his 2 young sons watched. Apparently, April wanted a divorce, and Michael Jace spent the day texting her to try to find out who she was having an affair with. Then he calmly called 911 and told authorities he shot his wife. During his trial, Jace pleaded not guilty for the crime, but ultimately he was sentenced to 4 years in prison. Russell Neal. Russell Neal was a member of the R&B group High Five, which found success during the 90s with their popular single I Like the Way, The Kissing Game. In 2014, he was arrested and charged with the murder of his wife after walking into a local police station and announcing she was dead. The woman was then found to death, and the couple's 2 children were placed in the custody of Neal's mother-in-law. William S. Burrows. William S. Burrows was a novelist and short story writer who was also known by the pen name William Lee. In 1951, Burrows accidentally shot and killed his wife when he was attempting to shoot an apple on top of her head while drunk. After serving his time, he got out and actually said the death of his wife allowed him the inspiration to write poetry. O.J. Simpson. During the 90s, former football star O.J. Simpson found himself in one of the most high-profile murder cases the country has seen in years. After being accused of killing his wife and her friend, many people in the public found themselves disgusted with Simpson. Although most of the evidence pointed directly at Simpson, he maintained his innocence. And thanks to the tireless work of his attorneys, Simpson was found not guilty. Gig Young. Academy Award-winning actor Gig Young was also well known as an entertainer. In 1978, 3 weeks after the then 64-year-old actor married 21-year-old Kim Schmidt, the pair were found shot to death in their Manhattan apartment. Eventually, authorities determined Young had killed his young wife and then turned the gun on himself. However, no one knows the motive for the murder to this day. Spade Kee. Spade Kee was one of the most well-known big band leaders in the 1960s. However, his career was cut short when he was arrested, tried, and convicted for the murder of his wife Ella Kee in 1961. Ella was also a singer in his band. According to reports, Kee suspected his wife of having an affair, which she later admitted to, right before filing for divorce, and he killed her out of anger. Kee was sentenced to prison, but died of a heart attack in 1969 while he was out on a 3-day furlough to perform at a concert. Faye Dewitt. Faye DeWitt is known for her comedic roles in shows such as Mork and Windy and Design Women. In 1965, DeWitt was charged with the death of her husband, Ray Allen, after she stabbed him repeatedly with a letter opener. However, the next day, the murder charges against her were dropped. Further investigation revealed that Allen had repeatedly abused DeWitt, and on the day of his death, he broke into her home and began banging her head into the wall. It was also proven that Allen was drunk at the time of the incident, so DeWitt acted out of self-defense. Bren Hartman. Bren Hartman shot her husband, actor Phil Hartman, at point-blank range with his own gun as he slept in the bed. Phil Hartman, best known for his work on Saturday Night Live, News Radio, and for voicing several characters on The Simpsons, had reportedly threatened to divorce his wife of 11 years during an argument over her abuse. She shot him twice in the head and once on his side. News and alcohol reportedly contributed to Bren Hartman's decision to shoot her husband. Shortly after admitting to a friend that she killed her husband in the early morning hours of May 28, 1998, Bren climbed into the couple's bed where Phil's dead body still lay, and sitting up against the headboard, she put the gun in her mouth and fired her one fatal shot. When police arrived, they found Bren's dead body slumped over that of her husband. Paul Snider. At the height of her short-lived career, Playboy model/actress Dorothy Strahan suffered the tragic ending at the hands of her estranged husband and former manager, Paul Snider. On August 14, 1980, the two met on the couple's former home to discuss a divorce. Instead of splitting, Snider shot her to death with a shotgun and then committed suicide with the same gun. Reportedly, police believe that Snider raped and abused her corpse before pulling the trigger on himself. Both bodies were naked when police arrived. Sadly, she was only 20 years old when she was killed.